The stakes really couldn't be higher as we're watching the systematic destruction of our farmland, as petrochemicals and monocropping agriculture have absolutely destroyed our most important resource, our soil. There are many different approaches we can take to create a much healthier and accessible food system. I'm looking all the way back to pre-European settlement and meeting with Chief Don Stevens of the Abenaki people to discuss some of the ancient wisdom and sustainable approaches Indigenous people from this region took in their own food cultivation.
When the Europeans came, they came to this land and they saw a forest that probably was fairly groomed. So they say, wow, I'm going to move in, not knowing that native people are nomadic, and they create agroforestry so that way we don't use up all the resources and we promote it.
To show me firsthand what European settlers would have encountered when they arrived here in America, I've joined up with my friend and Abenaki skills instructor, John Hunt, who's going to help explain agroforestry, or more accurately, the concept of the forest garden.
In some ways, it's maybe just, an excuse to get out into the woods, even if I don't find anything, just to spend some time with the land. When we're living in sync with nature, it really brings us back into health, healthy mind and body. Nowadays we've got so much technology, but that can really, in the long run, be pretty harmful for our bodies and for our psychology.
We've been so interconnected to nature, and it's only within the last 100 or 200 years that we've really started divorcing ourselves from this, right?
Yeah, definitely. Now we have to make an effort, but it's worth the effort. It's important to make the effort.
When we look at things like, how do we be stewards of the land, where a lot of times Europeans adopted the mindset of being dominion over. So how can you own something that you share with other living things like trees, animals, and ourselves? Yeah. And I think if people got away and started looking more at the connection to the source, whether it be their food sources, whether it be the land or the animals or other sources, I think we'd be in much better shape to save this planet for our future.
Oh, hey.
The base too.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's a nice looking maitake there. What a perfect example of the prolificness of nature, right?
Yeah, these old trees, and the mycelium's probably helping them out, and then they're just producing so much food.
So, John, can you talk to us a little bit about the concept of the forest garden?
Yeah, the forest garden it's a way of being in relationship with the land that promotes food for us and for the animals, for all the life. The earth just is growing in a wild way. It's just producing as much as it can. It's sort of a belief that the human can be a steward. The human can actually have a positive impact and increase the abundance of food.
New England is going to be more important as the climate changes, and there's going to be more and more fire seasons out west and less crops being grown. If the priority is bringing new businesses to compete in the global market, maybe the focus should be more on agroforestry environment, because New England's going to be very important food sources. So why not get ahead of the curve now and start teaching those things, and also diversify to keep our farmers competitive?
After harvesting the maitake and acorns from the forest garden, I'm continuing on my way north to Sterling College to meet with Tiana Baca, one of the educators heading up the Seeds of Renewal project. This institution is training the next generation of farmers and environmentalists, and their recent collaboration with the Abenaki people is helping to reintroduce ancient crops and planting techniques that may help both our quality of food and its resiliency in the face of climate change.
Are you going to seed bank these, or are you going to use these for food, or what?
Yeah, so this particular variety, these are speckled Algonquian beans, and these are seeds that are being grown specifically for the Seeds of Renewal project. So we are in the Dawnland Heritage Garden, and this garden is a beautiful mound and Three Sisters milpa plot, and we are growing Abenaki varieties to share back with the Seeds of Renewal project. So Sterling is kind of this intermediary steward that is, supporting these bigger endeavors.
Can you talk a little bit about what Three Sisters is?
Yeah, so the Three Sisters is a companion planting group of corn, beans, and squash. They're plants that grow together and support each other. So the corn is growing up, it's providing this living trellis. The beans use that to climb on. The beans are then fixing nitrogen and supporting the growth of the corn, and then the squash plant kind of sprawls out and provides this living mulch. So all of them working together makes all of them produce better.
This is an actual project that you're using to reintroduce some of these crops back into the food system.
Right. This is a project we are collaborating with Seeds of Renewal and Abenaki Helping Abenaki, and our role at Sterling is to be stewarding these seeds, growing them out, and really being conscientious of the genetic integrity of these seeds.
Sterling College is on the cutting edge of how we approach our food system and the environment. They've partnered with the Wendell Berry Farm to develop national curriculum for more regenerative approaches to food cultivation.
These crops haven't been widely distributed for quite some time, but these would have been prolific several hundred years ago, is that right?
Right, yeah. So these are very old traditional crops that have been lost in number. As folks came in, like traditional foods were displaced, but it's a process of refinding them. And so there may only be a handful of seeds that we start with. And so by planting them out, even in just a plot like this size, over one season, we're able to double, quadruple the amount of seed that was there.
Yeah, amazing. Can you tell me why that's important?
Yeah, so there's so much of what we're growing here and how we're growing it, right? We're taking cues from what's actually happening around us, right? So nature doesn't grow in monocrops, it's polyculture, it's diversity. And so using that as a model just in this space, right, we're building on those collaborations. As we're thinking about agroecology, and it's science and these principles of ecology, but it's also very much this integration of social and this broader community. And so being in this space, like we are growing and we're very much thinking about the biodiversity and the genes, the genetic integrity of these plants, but we're also thinking about the relationships to people and place. So we're not just having a huge field of this particular corn,
right,
but they are being cultivated in traditional fashion, right, in this mound system together, and that is supporting the plants, but it's also supporting community and tradition and history and heritage.
We need to get people connected to their wild foods. They need to know how to grow their own food, because you could be in the middle of a city and have a tomato plant on your balcony and have your child grow that plant and then eat the produce from what they grow. So there's really no excuse for someone not to be able to get connected to their food source, even if it's a little fraction. If you think about the history of Vermont, that this was deforested. I mean, there wasn't a lot of forest left at one point, and then Vermont switched and now we're mostly forested, right? So there is hope. There is a way to reconnect and change the outcomes of what is happening. The forests and the wild foods sustained our people for thousands of years. Why would we not think it wouldn't do that now?